This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. Please consider this a vitamin or a supplement for your heart and mind. And however you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review in order to help others to find this podcast. Thanks for joining today. I want you to consider something. You may feel that you aren't a leader, though you are. You may feel that there's no avenue or area in life in which you are in charge or you lead much of anything. But you're the leader of your life. You're a leader in your home. You're leading in more areas than what you think. And one of the items that differentiates a leader, or why we have leaders, or why we are in leadership position, is you are the chief decision maker. And you may say to me, Dr. Ron, there's no one who looks to me or looks for me to make any of their decisions. You are still the chief decision maker for your life. So when you're faced in a time when you realize and understand that you really do need to make a decision, what do you do? Now, there are some folks who just always defer to someone else. We see this in families, marriages, but even at work. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that we're talking about something that really is your responsibility. And again, use the idea that I did, that you are for sure the chief decision maker of your own life. What are you going to do? Have you made up your mind that you're going to do something? Anything? You have to do something. You can't just float along. And I believe it was Lee Iacocca who said, don't just sit there or don't just stand there. If you mess it up, you can start over. Meaning you have to do something. Don't be paralyzed by fear or whatever else it is that causes you not to want to have to decide and make a decision. If you're alive, you are going to have to make decisions. If your paralyzing fear today that's disabling you is over the fact, what if I make the wrong decision and I really mess up? Well, if it's at work or even around your house, we all will mess up. We all will get better information later on and say, I probably should have done something a little different there. It's okay. Maybe you can't always start over, but you can do mid-course corrections. You can make adjustments. If you have more information or more resources or something new has come to light, you can always tweak and adjust. But you don't get to decide just in the future. You have to make the decision where you are right now. And if it doesn't work, well, then it's okay. Try something else. There are people who have this idea, I'm going to wait until I have all of the answers, all of the sentences with a period at the end of them, all the T's crossed and I's dotted. Unfortunately, in many things, and this especially in your work, but it would also apply to your home. If you wait until you are fully satisfied with all the answers, and you wait until everyone in your organization or community or family or church are all happy, you're going to wait until it's too late. There comes a point where you go with the best information that you have, with where you are today, what needs to be done, and you just go ahead and make that decision. You can't wait until you are 100% satisfied. It was Brad Lomenick who said, as long as there are problems in the world, and there always have been, and there always will be, there will be a need for a leader to make hard choices. That's from Brad Lomenick. Let's stop and camp there for just a moment. Leaders are called to make hard choices. A lot of times in the position that I hold today, I tell people, part of my job description is Someone will call me and will say, the horse is out of the barn and the horse has been murdered. The barn has been burnt to the ground. Now it's your job to come see us and to fix it. By the time I get called, all the easy choices, easy solutions have been tried and found wanting. But as long as there are problems in the world, there's going to be a need for leaders to make hard and difficult choices. And I have talked about this in previous podcasts. You're going to have to make some hard choices, regardless of what level in life you lead. And those choices at times will cost you something. People will get upset with you. I have had just in my lifetime folks who were very close to me who became so upset over a decision they believed that I made, that I did make, that to this day, if they see me, they will look the other direction and they'll not talk to me. If popularity is what you're after, I would advise you to go sell ice cream cones. But if you're going to be a leader, you're going to be called on often to make a decision in a tough situation and to make a hard choice. And any way you go, someone will second guess you. Someone will know beyond a shadow of a doubt you were wrong. And that's okay. That's why you have to have a value system that guides you and you live by. And you can't lead by poll. You can't lead by popularity. And you can't lead and always make relevantly easy decisions. There are times that just being a leader means you're going to have to make the hard decision. Now, leader, what I'm about to say to you isn't overly pleasant. If you are the leader, just expect that you're going to have to make hard choices and everyone is not going to be happy. You were not called to your position to be a clown and to make people happy. You were called to be a leader, so do what a leader does. A leader leads. A leader makes difficult choices and difficult decisions. They must be value-based and they must be best for the organization. But you're going to have to make some hard choices. That's why at times I hear people say there's a dearth of leadership. They're not meaning that there is a dearth of people willing to say they're leaders. What they are in actuality saying is there's just a dearth of women and men who will stand up and make the tough decisions that are so desperately needed. Whether it's a not-for-profit, whether it's a business that you're running, there's going to come a day where you have to make tough decisions. One of the reasons that these decisions oftentimes are so tough is no one lives in the tension of all of the expectations, all of the different things that are tugging at an organization. And the leader is right in the middle of all that. You literally stand in the middle of all of that tension, honoring the past but wanting to move ahead into the future. Thankful for the leaders who have come along and have helped you, but knowing that you need a fresh batch of leadership. Knowing that resources are tight, but if you don't take a little bit of a risk, you'll begin going backwards. And you, as the leader, stand right smack dab in the middle. And you have to keep everything in creative tension and yet look at what needs to be done and make the right decisions. For much of my adult life, I was a pastor. And I just looked over the record the other day. I have conducted over 200 weddings. Matter of fact, there's a little girl who was in the nursery of one of the churches that I pastored who is now a graduate of college, and she's getting married, and she asked me if I would marry her. And come here in just a few weeks, I'm going to officiate at her wedding ceremony at one of the former churches that I pastored. And I'm going through the premarital with them and talking about the ceremony. And I'm reminded of what Donald Miller has said before, that the one thing that you really need to pay attention to in a wedding ceremony is that in everything in life you have to make a decision. Because in that wedding ceremony, all 200 plus that I've officiated, there comes a point where I look at the man and I look at the woman and I call on them to make a decision. Will you take this person? You know the ritual: for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, keep yourself only unto him or her, so long as you both shall live. And they have to publicly, not just in front of me, but in front of God and their family and all of the folks that are there, they commit to making that decision. Now, I'd like to tell you that all 200 plus couples that I married are still married, but that's not a fact. Even though they publicly said they were going to make a decision, many of them didn't live by it. Wedding reminds me, yes, you start this relationship with a decision, but you'll live out the decisions in the big and little and in-between times in your life. It also reminds me when people come to me with their marital problems and a man or a woman would say it's all the other person's fault, I would always say to them, you have to take at least 25% of the responsibility because you chose him or her. So everything in life you have to make a decision. And day after day, my friend, you choose your future. Doesn't mean that everything that has ever happened in our lives are things of our own choosing, but even then we get to choose how we react. Are we going to become embittered, or are we going to become better? Are we going to live in the mess or find a message in the mess? But day after day, you choose your future, because where you are right this very instance, you weren't just dropped out of the sky. You are where you are today because of decisions you made before today that allowed you to be to this very spot. I'm just going to make it again. You are the chief decision maker of your life. And day after day, I want you to understand the significance of those choices, because day after day, you are choosing what your future is going to look like. What do you want your future to look like? Read on it, study, talk to a mentor. If you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to hone in on how to make a good decision. You, my friend, are the chief decision maker. Today, take some action, do something. Don't just stand there, do something. If you mess up, and more than likely we all do, we all have things we have to start over or readjust, it's okay, or start something else. And don't wait until you have all the answers. Go with as much information as you have and make a reasonably good choice. Know, my friend, that as long as there are problems in the world, there's going to be a need for a person like you. You are in the middle, in your family, in your life. You're there to make a decision, and every decision affects your future. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today that this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your heart and mind. And wherever you download podcasts, please subscribe and leave a brief written review for Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. This is Dr. Ron saying to you, leader, you are doing better than you think you are. And until next time, have a great and blessed day.